Hi, I'm Dr. Gary Motykie, and I'm a board-certified Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. And today I wanted to go over male rhinoplasty. I think it's an interesting topic because it's very different from a female rhinoplasty. And I think by the end of this, it'll be a little clearer why. Now, there are some male rhinoplasties that people in general bring into the practice. It's a little less common than female rhinoplasty, but male rhinoplasty is definitely on the rise. And I think some of the most common ones that come in are people asking for noses that are really conservative so that they're not overdone. So people like David Beckham, Ryan Gosling, and then in the ethnic rhinoplasty, maybe Michael B. Jordan, and people like that that overall have features that are well balanced and in men conservative and still leave that person with their character. If we go into looking at the difference between a female and male rhinoplasty, there are some differences in general. In male rhinoplasty, you want to leave the nose strong. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to make it feminine. So you want to leave the bridge of the nose strong, even sometimes leaving a slight flaw, like a slight bump, leaving the nose a little wider. And then one of the most important things is the angle of the nose here. So in a female, it's okay to rotate the nose a little bit, not piggy, but a little bit higher than in a male rhinoplasty. You want to leave a male nose more straight or 90 degrees out and not rotate it at all. No piggies, none of that, no scoops, because again, that can really change the appearance of masculinity into femininity. And unless that's what the patient wants, it will be a giveaway. It'll be something that people will pick up on, whether subconsciously or consciously. They'll notice that masculinity went away and they appear a little bit more feminine. That's something I think when you try to look for the ideal male nose online, it's a little hard to find. And that's the reason, because with men, there's a lot more range that you can leave flaws and different things about it to match other features, where it seems in the world of female rhinoplasty, a little bit more of an ideal nose exists, and certain features about the nose, certain angles, more defined, less strength in the bridge, just a lot of differences in what you're gonna do with a female nose versus a male nose. Category of leading men or actors that may not have a perfect nose, but it works with them. There's a couple of those that come to mind, such as Brad Pitt, Robert Pattinson. They have noses that aren't perfect, but with the rest of their face, it works. And also with their character, what they're portraying on screen and just their overall look. Another one that comes to mind is Lucifer Morningstar, or Tom Ellis. He has a rather strong nose that has a little bit of a hump, but again, in him, he's playing this character that's supposed to be ultra masculine. I don't want to necessarily say evil, with Lucifer, but just kind of a traditional ladies' man, and that character works with that sort of a nose and that facial feature. And if you were to change that, it would possibly ruin him in that role. Interestingly enough, I think there's some other actors that have rather strong or overly strong noses, but again, if they were to change that nose, it could ruin them. It could ruin their careers, and in general, just the way that we perceive them. And some of the people that come to mind are people like Tom Cruise. For many years, there's rumors that he won't even let people take a profile picture of him, and they're hard to find. Actors like Adrian Brody, and then Owen Wilson, people that have a lot of character in their nose, and that's really part of their personality on screen. And if you're to change that, it would totally change the way they're perceived and their character. One person that I mentioned in the very beginning was Ryan Gosling, and he's somebody who admittedly has had a rhinoplasty, and I think it's been done well. He did what I talked about in the beginning, which is left his character, didn't overdo it. It added to his character, and that's critical. If we're to start to look at the changes that happened with his rhinoplasty, in the beginning he has some really interesting facial features. It's not the ideal leading man masculine face. He has a little bit of a longer face. With that rhinoplasty in the beginning, his nose was much longer, had a plunging nasal tip, it was a little crooked, had a bigger dorsal hump. And I think it personally bothered him. Getting rid of that for him was a big deal because it actually increased his confidence. When the rhinoplasty was done, I think it did positive things for him. It refined the nose in such a way that it left some of the character, it left some slight flaws. It's not absolutely perfect, it's still strong in the bridge. And in his mid-face, which was way too powerful with the bigger nose, it actually balanced out his features. Now he has some other things such as a narrow face and the eyes are a little close, but again, by bringing that nose into balance, I think it really helped him. I think it just made his appearance that really all-American, very welcoming, not necessarily traditional leading man, but a very still handsome, but also innocent And I think that works very well for what he's trying to portray and the roles he plays. There's one other actor, interesting enough, that he reminds me of that's got similar features, but he has slightly better balance with features, which is Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds, again, being a comedian, it's not the perfect nose. He's handsome in the fact that overall he's just a good-looking guy, but then again, features slightly more balance, slightly more width to his eyes and his face, and the nose is similar to Ryan's and works very well with his face. If we take a look at somebody else like Kit Harington, who is really well known for Game of Thrones, this is another face that's much wider, much more aggressive look to him. It's less welcoming and well known subliminally because his face is shorter and wider, that he comes off as a more aggressive hunter sort of personality. And those are interesting things, I think, in the world of film, but it also works in reality, in the way that people perceive you, which is why I tell people that the nose holds a lot of personality and a lot of character. So you have to be very careful what you're doing with it, because just by taking a plunging tip and straightening the nose, it can change you from more of a aggressive looking villain character to a much more welcoming, innocent sort of a look, and the other way around. It sounds funny, but that nose holds a key. It's a keystone feature to your face, your personality, and the way that people perceive you. One example of a celebrity that's done a rhinoplasty that kept his personality and again didn't overdo it and left some flaws would be Patrick Dempsey, aka Dr. McDreamy. It's obvious when he was younger he had a much more bulbous nose and a little bit bigger, and then you can see as he became more famous his nose became much slimmer in the tip as well as slightly crooked. It's interesting because they just left it that way, and I think that that's a positive in some respects because again it makes it less noticeable when it's not quite perfect. If you didn't know he had a bulbous nose when he was younger and you just knew him when he was older, you wouldn't necessarily suspect, oh, he had a rhinoplasty. So I think overall the message for male rhinoplasty is that in general there isn't as many famous celebrity male rhinoplasties because it is less common for men to do their nose, although like I said it is increasing. And then secondly, a lot of time with male rhinoplasty it's done much more conservatively, so again it's much less detectable. For those reasons there isn't as many ideal rhinoplasty male noses out there, and I think in general as a rule for men and leading roles that when it's done conservative, the key points are to leave some of that character, some of that personality, and to maybe leave slight flaws. They're not really flaws, but again, will A, keep the secret, or B, keep the personality. Those things are critically important, as well as balancing with the other facial features. You can't put Brad Pitt's nose on Tom Cruise or Tom Cruise's nose on David Beckham. You have to make sure that that nose fits with the remainder of the facial features and overall not taking away from the character and personality that person wants, whether it's in film or just everyday life.
Male rhinoplasties seem less common than female rhinoplasties. What surgical procedures do you think are most common among male celebrities?
Some of the reason maybe that male rhinoplasty is less common is what we touched on. Some men are petrified of looking feminine after rhinoplasty or having it overdone or being or B, that it's going to be noticeable and they don't like to give away that secret. So it's a very tricky surgery in men that you have to get exactly right and never overdo it, unless that's what they want. Part two to that question is, in men, I think, when we're talking about aesthetics, I think the nose is critically important. Now, when we're talking about other aesthetics and anti-aging, I think some of the more common things that men will do is addressing the hairline and the neck. I think those are the two most important things that really can make a man look younger as well as more masculine. So with the hairline, obviously, if they're balding or thinning in the hair, that redoing the hair with newer techniques, follicular grafting, smart grafting, as well as multiple injections they can do now with PRP, stem cells, exosomes, many different things we can do now to rejuvenate the hair that we didn't have before. And I think that's critical for men. And then the neck, contouring the jawline underneath the chin and that jaw so that it looks powerful and masculine, as well as keeping that strength that also makes them look younger. And first thing people will say, did you lose weight? You look amazing. And that's really what you want from all plastic surgery, but particularly in men. You don't want men looking strange or different. They are petrified of giving away their secret as far as if they had work done. I think, again, that social stigma is going away in women and also in men.